We're here to talk about the astrology report for the week ahead, and that will be the 10th of November through to the 16th of November. We have an interesting sky. We've got some interesting asteroids activated, including, unfortunately, the asteroid Grieve. This would be about world events and not your own life. We have a Mars conjunction to Mercury, which has a historical record of looking very difficult when it comes to matters of war. And I think in our modern society, you could take this kind of energy and also apply it to kinetic devices that move through the air because it's happening in Sagittarius. And I would also bring our attention, of course, to just the vibe of this week ahead. It is a sharper energy than we normally have because of the Mars square, Mars conjunct Mercury conjunct Mars and Sagittarius. I want you to think of bows and arrows. I want you to think of things that fly through the sky, right? And we also have Uranus back in the sign of the Earth, which can precipitate shaking Earth events. So it's not the greatest week ahead, but it does have some historical precedent with situations in the Middle East around peace. And we'll be bringing that to our world astrology attention in the first 15 minutes. Then we'll be moving on for my guidance for your sign. We'll be checking in with the asteroids as well for the world. And for your sign, we'll be also talking about how to handle this energy, where harsh words can be a problem. Harsh speech can be a difficulty. We have to all be careful around that energy coming up this week. But on the other hand, Mars can get us passionately moving forward on some direction that we want to go in. And Mercury can be the assist on that. So it's not always a bad thing, just that the conjunction tends to bring the harder aspects out than the easier ones. All right. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses. And if you know all about my stuff, I have a real fixation on the minor asteroids. And we're going to really be drawing our attention to an asteroid that has to do with Thanatos, or the death energy. Gonggong, a sea serpent under the water, known to be associated with catastrophes. Artemis, who shoots her hunting arrows as a hunter. And then, of course, the conjunction with Mercury and Mars. And we also have the asteroid Grieve activated, co-join Venus this week ahead in the sign of Scorpio. So grieving could be a story as well for some world leader passing away. Someone told me about Cheney passing away. That's not who I'm thinking about. I get it, but no one's grieving that guy. So it's something else, someone else, and we'll try to figure it out together as I open up the chart. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and all that good stuff. And I think I said that I think I did say that I'm Lori Lothian. It's been a long recording day. If you would like to potentially jump aboard my All Signs 2026 bundle, that's 12 video links for 2-hour videos each hidden from the public eye that you have access to on a PDF with links. That's your opportunity to get it before December 1st at $44. After that, the price goes up to $55 in December, $66 in January. And this is a fundraiser. I keep getting tired of telling you about it, but who's going to get 24 hours of video content for $44? Almost nobody. It's a labor of love. I'm really diving into your sign. So that's why you can get the bundle, because you have a sun, moon, and rising, and sometimes they're different, and really listen for the year ahead and understand how to navigate month by month next year. However, if you want to buy it for a stocking stuffer, why not? You can give it to your friends and family for Christmas. Not obviously as a PDF printout, because the hyperlinks won't work. You can email it to them, a virtual stocking stuffer. And friends and family and children and everyone else can benefit from this product. I'd rather share it with the world and have everybody benefiting than clutch onto it with my pearls. All right, guys, let's get going. Everything in the description box. Hit the more button. My website, my Patreon community, my Substack. You just hit the more button. People email me and ask me about my rates or how to get a reading. I'm going, guys, everything's below, right? The website, the Patreon community, everything you need is underneath my video. Shall we continue? So I have World Astrology Unplugged at Substack. If you prefer me to speak my mind more clearly, then please come on over to the Substack, where I don't have to worry about demonetization issues. Okay. This happens to be the sky on November 9th. I'm recording on the 9th. No, I'm recording on the 8th, but this is Sunday the 9th. Let's move ourselves forward. And now you're looking at Monday the 10th. The moon will be in Leo. It'll fire up all the Leos in the world Monday and Tuesday. Like, who are the Leos? J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, the nation of Iran, Bring me some more Leos in the comments. Lots of lunar energy, a lot of emotions fired up for any Leos in the first 2 days of the month, right? Moon bring our emotions to the forefront, especially with Mars in Leo next to Trump's ascendant. That will definitely fire him up on Tuesday into some, intensity of some sort regarding likely even Monday because of this, regarding things that Trump says that are harsh speech or difficult speech. And in fact, in the combination of stellar influences by Reinhold Eberton, he actually says that Mercury and Mars can be, when it's in a positive way, resolute determination and discussions and argument and debating and all of that good stuff. But in its negative or a shadow side, it can be rashness, words as weapons, that's my word, quarreling, fault finding, irritability, and I'm going to say just hard words that fly through the air like arrows. So who knows what Trump's up to, but he may be making some kind of speech or saying something that is, pretty aggressive on Monday or Tuesday. That aside, let's go back to some basics. As the week progresses, you're going to see that Mercury and Mars will co-join. Now, they did that co-joining in 2010, 2008, 2006, 1991. So it happens on the irregular regular. And I noticed when I was doing a bit of research that like way back in 1991, when it came to issues of the Middle East, there was a Madrid attempt to create a peace conference around the Middle East. So sometimes it could be about the pieces, the war, the peace is capable of happening, right? On the other hand, this is also associated, particularly in 2006, right, with Operation Storm Clouds, or one of those dumb names that the nation of IL gives everything it does. And it had to do with war and reneging on a partial treaty. I'll read that for you in a minute. This is the neighbors, okay, the neighborhood, the land next door, the people around the country of I, right here. That's also, you could say it's Hasbara. This is propaganda and media section for the nation of I. So the nation of I's propaganda machine might be on full tilt this week ahead. And we're going to see that conjunction happen exactly here on Wednesday. So let's see what audacious things are disclosed to the public from the propaganda machine of the nation of IL. But that aside, media, propaganda, media control. So I feel like, things like the way that Twitter has been taken over by an agenda, right? A Zionist agenda, for example. And Twitter even is getting more and more that way, it seems. It seems to me that this is that story, right? Mars is cutting, blocking, severing, cutting, ending things. Mercury is speech. And Mercury is retrograding into Mars, and Mars is retrograding into Mercury. So they're having a head-on collision, right? Energetically. And that is not a good thing for flights as well. Flight disruptions for sure, but flight disasters. And that's only because, the sign of Sagittarius rules fly the friendly skies. Energetically, Mercury is news. There's a head-on collision between Mercury moving one way and Mars into him. They're bumping into each other. And because we also have that square here this is Artemis with her arrows, or you could say Missiles. And this is Gonggong, the sea serpent that brings catastrophes. I would wonder if there's not some kind of waterborne catastrophe involving things that fly, airplanes flying through the sky, maybe not staying in the sky. Unfortunately, that could be a case because over here we have more Somnus. More Somnus is sleep and, well, I'll read it to you, but it has to do with Thanatos, the death urge or the archetype of death. And it happens to be, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but I'll read it to you. It happens to be named after the Roman god Mors and Somnus, twin gods of the underworld, children of the night and darkness. Mors, Thanatos, which means death and death urge, is a personification of death. Somnus, hypnosis or sleep. And then it finally finishes up with powerful unconscious forces impacting one's life, awareness of the precarious of life and death. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know how you guys think about that or feel about that, but having this energy opposite this death energy and hypnosis energy or sleep energy doesn't feel like a positive direction, with asteroid Grieve connected to the Scorpio waters and particularly close to Venus. Scorpio energy can take into consideration Scorpionic nations and people, Vladimir Putin, Joe Biden, Scorpio, King Charles. So get ready for some of those stories maybe to emerge this week ahead with things regarding the word grieve and those characters. Ultimately, I feel like because the United States of America in its Sibley chart is a rising sign in Sagittarius, and so is Benjamin Netanyahu, that we could find. So is Joe Biden, by the way. Those characters are high in the news cycle. And when it comes to Netanyahu, I believe memory serves me, I think his ascendant is around 9 degrees, pretty close. It's very engaged, right, with this harder energy. And it's possible there's a huge, very bombastic and very harsh declaration or announcement that he's going to make, or there's some very difficult news coming out of his leadership in the Middle East. That's what I'll go with for that. But because the United States is also the arrows that fly through the sky, Sag rising on its dark side, truth and justice, and unifying a world maybe with faith and hope, the pursuit of happiness. That's the upside. But it's also a arrow, and it's a war thing. Sag is about the archer, and the United States has always been a war-prone, war-torn, whatever, creating wars around the world, especially since the 1948 timeframe. And also that was a Pluto north declination timeframe that led to tyranny, dictatorial stuff, Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, but also the formation of the 3-letter agency, CIA, and also the Monetary Fund, the World Bank, not the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. And those are not positive organizations, right? It's really about money, greed, power, and control. So anyway, just saying, looks like the United States is going to get a little activation here as well with whatever this thing is, squaring the water god of catastrophes and more arrows flying with the huntress Artemis. So we'll just have to say, Gonggong, what do you got up your sleeve? And what is this guy for? And everyone's worried about the markets these days. I did predict it, and so did a guest of mine. We're putting her video out in a week and a half at World Astrology for next year. A wonderful financial astrologer threw some alarm bells up as Uranus goes through the sign of Taurus retrograde through till next February. I see the same alarm bells based on Algol and New York Stock Exchange Sun, but I don't see it really being this week, right? You can see that Uranus is not connecting to this energy. Uranus is not connecting to anything supremely difficult. And so I doubt very much we're going to see, although the markets are not stable, I don't know, other than a black swan event, that we'll see anything dive down. Now that I said like in a massive market correction or sell-off, but I will say this, I'm going to say this with code words because I could say it unplugged over at Substack Pluto Chronicles. So let me try to code it for you. Manufactured consent. Okay, so how can the United States manufacture consent for a war against Iran? The only way that consent can be manufactured, in my humble opinion, is to have an event on U.S. soil that galvanizes the people. Yes, like the event that happened on September 11th with those towers. So I might get demonetized for just as much. This is what happened when I said there would be an event near September 11th in my video that was predicting what turned out to be the Charlie Kirk thing. And because I use those certain words, the actual video had to be taken down and I had to do it over again. So hopefully hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down, guys. Because if there is a major calamity on U.S. soil and it's going to be pinned on somebody, right, that didn't do it, it's going to be pinned on the nation of Iran, so that there'll be manufactured consent and outrage. Although I don't know that that can work anymore. I think people are too wise to all this stuff and too suspicious and too jaded for it to work. I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen. And by the way, if there is manufactured consent through a FF event, I can't say that word here, then it's going to also be, of course, because the U.S. Congress, et cetera, government, power brokers, neocons are completely under control through blackmail and bribery of a nation, a foreign nation, right? You know which one it is. All right. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I could pretty well say we're grieving something, and it has to do with water. So a plane falls from the sky into the water. There's a calamity in water areas, like off the shore of Venezuela or something. There's something going on that will, or just Biden, King Charles, maybe even Putin, all Scorpio energies. They have Scorpio in their charts rising and suns. They could be highly, highly activated this week ahead. All right, so this is a world astrology. Again, I go much deeper into more depth. My November report over at Pluto Chronicles outlines a whole bunch of possibilities for this month ahead. And it is free, especially intense around the new moon in Scorpio around the 19th of the month. So you just want to go ahead and go check out my Pluto Chronicles. How to find it, it's in the description box below, right underneath the video. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and talk about your week ahead. We go ahead. Before I do, I want to say something about how Renn Butler defines this energy of Mars and Scorpio. And as I said, I didn't go into any detail, but trust me, every time this Mars in Sag with Mercury happens, the nation of I in the Middle East, nation of IL, does hellishly bad things regarding breaking peace treaties and attacking its neighbors. So we're not going to go through the history all over again, okay? I just don't have the energy. You just have to trust me on this. And so let's start. I want to say that when you put Mercury together with Mars and it's in a hard aspect and a conjunction is considered to be somewhat difficult, right? He has some really lovely quotes here. So Aldous Huxley said she was a professional athlete of the tongue and he was born with a Mercury-Mars energy in his chart. Or Marlowe says, our swords shall play the orators for us. And I think that's the most obvious one, that our swords shall play the orators for us. That could also be happening here. And another good quote for this is, the first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. In your own life, you can expect probably some harsh speech or difficult, harder news to show up around Wednesday. I would give that Monday through to Friday. The whole week is under that spell. And I can't tell you what to do other than I'm going to give you some advice. Now, normally I draw a card and I'm just decided that my card draws are now for Sunday videos and it's pure astrology everywhere else. I'm trying to please all of the people all of the time. So this is pure astrology. If you want astrology mixed with an oracle deck draw to go with the astrology, complementing it for your sign, then you're definitely going to come check me out on Sundays for that kind of video. Plus, it takes a longer time for me to do it. And so this is always, Mondays are always my shorter video. So let's go ahead and start talking about Aries first, sun, moon, and rising, and get through the sky. And by the way, I'm not sure if I'm sharing with you, but now I'm looking at the old Operation Summer Rains tied up with this conjunction, but more so it came down to the next one that they did, which was like fall clouds or so, autumn clouds. I hate these names. Autumn clouds launch on November 1st. And it broke, a ceasefire broke down and created escalating conflicts. Anyway, I don't know. Can I say rogue? Can I say predator? Can I say messianic? Can I say evil? And if you don't know who I'm talking about, then that's not my problem. All right. So if you're an Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign, right? That's what you are. And I'm one of you, sun and moon here. We're going to move ourselves right here. Right here. Watch for, ouch, my shoulder. Watch for some sort of, I think I have an impingement. I'm going to go see a physio. It's not my gallbladder, guys. It's actually it's an impingement here. For those of you who are physiotherapists, and it's been bothering me for on and off for 3 months. So I have to figure out how to unimpinge my shoulder. It's like right there. If you're a Mercury and you're a Mars combination in the Aries, ninth house, you almost don't mind it, Aries. You're almost like, I'll go with it. I'll go with it because it's flowing to you in a trine. And so in some way you're kind of like, hey, not too bad. I think I can make this work. But it can be about something going on to do with travel information. I mean, because Mercury is a protector of travelers, Mars is a cutting and severing. Now, I just hope not for me because I have a trip to Mexico planned, and this could be a cancellation of a trip. It literally could. It may be out of my control. Maybe there's going to be some calamitous world event and the airport shut down. I don't know, but there can be a breaking, fracture, or cutting of a journey or a trip somewhere. And that's, if it's out of the control of you as an Aries, especially if it's international travel, there's nothing you can do about it but roll with it. Now, because this energy is also very tightly square this 12th house and opposite a death asteroid Thanatos, where we have grieving in the house of inheritances, there may be somebody you're grieving. There may be some loss of somebody in your life, some family system, or in this case, a partner, somebody that you could be like having to, like, who goes on a vacation when you got a funeral you have to be at. So that could happen for a cancellation. I hope not, but that could be one thing as well. Now, the other energy here would be, can you see that there is something going on in this deep solitude, spiritual enlightenment part of your chart? And can you possibly find that this is opening up dream doors with massive breakthrough energy? Because Mercury is a dream god in a dream temple, the 9th house, as well as its 12th house is associated with contemplation and solitude. And so there's something going on that, I mean, it has to be so difficult rather than it's a bit of information coming at you that's pretty sort of determined or resolute about something you want to do in your spiritual life, which is the house of God, the 9th house, but belief, spirituality, etc. You may quit or want to quit, or something may be quitting to do with communicating and 9th house, podcasting, matters to do with Substack for me, like publishing. However, Mercury is not in his best shape. He's only retrograde, but he also happens to be in a sign of his detriment. And Mars is pretty well, almost entirely invisible. It's just about to go invisible this week. And so you might just find yourself feeling like something that you really wanted to write, publish, podcast, get done, travel, just doesn't happen. Something falls apart and there's no possible way to make it happen. If you're in a lawsuit, legal agreements, that's Mars in the house of courts. This could be a very big challenge to your case. This could be the lawyer throwing their hands up. This could be your lawyer quitting. This could be you realizing this thing with the retrograde is going to take a lot longer and you won't get clear on which way it's going until the next month. So there's just maybe kind of like a pause button in legal cases and court matters at this time. Even if a trip is canceled, by the way, for you, you might just be pausing the trip, like moving it to a different date rather than canceling it altogether. So if you're going to travel, you're probably traveling somewhere you've been before. If you're pausing or canceling it, it's to some place you've been before. That's the retrograde Mercury story. Finally, father and father figures belong to the 10th and 9th house, depending on the tradition you choose. And you have father figure in the house of death. You got Libitina, you got cutting, severing, ending news. So there could be a sudden loss of a father figure under the sky in your family system somewhere or in your life. And that could lead to a reason for this kind of disruptive energy over here. And I don't think there's anything you can do, but be here and go through it all. I find it curious or interesting that as a conjunction is perfecting, the moon is at the 29th degree, very turbulent degree of Leo. And that is about Regulus, and it's about power and fame and riches. And that's Donald Trump's ascendant. I should have put that into the mix. We can definitely see Donald Trump firing up something intense emotions coming up on this week ahead, especially closer to Wednesday. Let's talk about Taurus. These are always my shorter videos, as you guys must have noticed by now. We go quickly on Mondays. I might start doing Mondays as a live stream. Let me know if that interests you, because my recording schedule is so busy. I know it's so funny. I really want to do for you guys is I really want to do evergreen content where I'm teaching something you can use forever and put it on YouTube. And Lord, how am I going to find time? It's like, I don't know where. Can someone remind me to win the lottery so I can just do a few things I really love? I do love this, but I mean, I'm doing a lot more than I need to do for mental health. Let's go to the next sign. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Get this. I got to open my window. It's suddenly gotten hot in here, or I'm hot. get this, guys. All right. Whew. There is something going on here with a harsh, cutting energy. This is the house of spousal shared resources. This is the information or news that might be a little bit scary. Oh no, but it's also the house of inheritances, banks, loans, and mortgages, investments, and something like coming through that's determined or resolute for action that you must do decisively. But on the harder side, it could be harsh, shocking news from the house of death about sorry guys, there's a lot of death asteroids here. No one's gonna this is gonna be a very unpopular video. I can't ignore the fact that you've got this grieving asteroid over here as well. So something to be sad about. Could involve a father figure, solar figure, especially since the sun rules the fourth house of family of origin. And so we have two signs back to back, Aries and Taurus. It really look more literal around grief and loss and death and disruption, etc., etc. Having this energy up here, where you've got an arrow and you've got this, Gonggong, the sea serpent, there could be a financial disruption or a financial bit of information around taxes. And you have to make some decisions. You have to adjust your tax structures, adjust your investment accounts, make some changes regarding loans and mortgages and debts, and do it in a very quick way, decisive way. And this would be also connected to themes of your earnings and your possession, your gains in your career. And there's like a kind of, okay, we got to hit the mark, right? Artemis is here. We got to make some structural changes in our investments, our loans, our mortgages, even any kind of banking institution, financial things can really be on your radar this week ahead. There's no doubt about that. And ultimately, or eventually, Mercury is coming back in retrograde across from Uranus, and he'll be doing that in December. Oh no, November the 19th. That'll be next week. And that is going to be a little bit of a shocker, right? Some surprise coming there as well. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But this starts off in the money house, a chunky money house. Secrets belong to the 8th house, and secrets can be spilled. Whispering sweet nothings? No, Mercury says, I'm whispering secrets that are sharp and cutting. They may do with your childhood. It's 4th house matters, origin, family of origin. There could be also a legal battle going on over shared resources with another person, or regarding real estate and property deals, and a lot of harsh negotiation and hard negotiation happening. Mercury, negotiation, Mars, cutting and hard and abrasive, in order to get some kind of deal on the financial front connected to the home sealed away and figured out. Jupiter is in your 3rd house, and he does indeed flow at the very least to you, right back towards you. So even with this turbulent, more difficult energy, you're being supported by a sextile from Jupiter. And in that regard, it's probably, no matter how stinging the scorpion's tail is, you'll be fine. You'll just be fine. All right, you will be. I know you're going, what scorpion's tail? Well, never mind. Sidereal astrology. I kind of want to say one more thing for you. You've been through it, right? Uranus is on its backtrack, last gasp. I already have a long video out on this that I put out almost a month ago. Uranus is heading backwards, and this is a grand finale of a massive transformation of identity, or Taurus sun, career, or Taurus moon, home-based matters. Major shifts are happening in who you are through till next April 26th. And, you're really in this reinvention of self-energy. So just hang in there. Whatever this is not the end of the world. It really isn't. And in fact, with the North Node in the 11th house, it may be a windfall or money coming in a way that may be not the ideal in terms of, how it arrives. Like, it took a long time. The judge finally ruled on it. The lawsuit took forever. No one wants to receive inheritance money unless the person passing is unknown to you, like a great distant relative. But some of these energies are definitely looking like you could possibly increase your financial success or have a sense of a windfall of some kind coming off the sky in the monetary department, right? Because Mercury rules your pocketbook and wallet, and he's in the house of chunks of money coming your way. I guess another example would be, wouldn't that be nice to get a pay raise, a bonus, a severance package, or something like that? Then it could be those kinds of money. All righty. Yeah, Geminis. Sun, moon, and rising. Sun, remember your purpose, career, moon, your home, rising, anything about you in the game of life, because that's your simulation avatar. First of all, Mercury is the lord of your sign. He's always trying to do good by you, but he's in difficult condition in the 7th house. It's exiled from his Gemini home, so he's a little bit weak here. He tends not to have details. He has a big picture angle, but he's a small detailed guy. He's out of his element. And in this regard, it's Jupiter's home. He doesn't really like being in Jupiter's home. And as he sits in Jupiter's home, and Jupiter's not witnessing him at all from your money, earnings, and resources, 2nd house, he's going to crash into Mars, and Mars is going to crash into him. And this is news, information about somebody else or from somebody else. Now, the worst case this is, it's a huge troll energy. Like, it's like really bad. Okay. Like, arrows coming at you with really hard speech. Now, if it's not something as benign as a troll, because who cares, right? This is called the setting place. Mars is with Mercury in the setting place. Like the 8th house, it's one of those places where people leave the planet, they derobe their bodies, so to speak, possibly because of Libitina in the house of sickness with a solar figure sun, because over here we have honoring the preciousness of life and the precariousness of life, as we realize, it's here, it's finite and it's short, all those things that more Somnus gives us. And this could be very much a wake-up call for some of you too, because if someone does suddenly depart, exit stage left, and you're going to find yourself really considering how precious life really is. Otherwise, you could also get some harsh words from a spouse, or this could really be about your spouse and some difficulties they're going through. Maybe they're trying to be resolute and determined in getting something done. And that's all that is. You'll notice, though, that the whole thing is squaring your 10th house, where we have the arrows and the Gonggong. And so again, you're not going to have a water serpent in your career and reputation space, Gemini, right? That's not going to happen, but you're achieving mastery and success. Like Kamala Harris is a Gemini rising. What could possibly hit her in her public and her press? The 7th house, if you're a public figure, is your fans, your audience, and your marketplace. And again, that's why I mentioned trolls. So something going on. I bet you will see a Kamala Harris story that really breaks through on Wednesday. You guys might want to watch out for your partner being really verbally aggressive. If you have a boyfriend, a long-term spouse or partner, you might want to watch for them having a real attitude, right? A real aggressive stance. And you just want to sort of like lay low, deflect, or tell them to, teach some nonviolent communication, because your partner may be very, very irritated, sharp, or aggressive with you this week ahead. And you want to definitely duck that. I guess I could say you could break a legal contract this week ahead. Legal contract would be a property agreement, and you may fracture that agreement. You could also fracture any agreements regarding professional career matters as well. And this could look like your spouse serving divorce papers as well. So let me know what happens, guys. Let me know what happens. If you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the sky opens this conjunction energetically here. I mean, last seen in 2023. I should have brought that to your attention, where we saw the situation in the Middle East. But anyway, Mars and Mercury are together in your 6th house. This is your job, your work, your professional, like day-to-day workspace, colleagues, co-workers, bosses. And it can sometimes be about pets. Please be careful regarding your animals this week ahead. You've got a grieving with Venus, the ruler of the house of home and property. You got some sharp energy of inflammation, heat, or accidents and news in the house of pets. You got like a Thanatos in the house of hospitals, like the Mars Somnus. So this is not a good time to let your pet roam the streets, right? You're going to keep your pet safely indoors. If the pet is ready to leave, the pet is ready to leave. But I mean, obviously better natural causes than accidents. Your own health could be a little bit agitated here with inflammation, heat, rashes, and fever. Your hips may be bothering you, and you could fall and hurt your hips under the sky. Be careful. The energy here also opens up a kind of square to the whole 9th house stellium, and where we have an arrow huntress. That Diana was famous for her 2 hunting dogs. So we're going to go back to pets are particularly important for you to pay attention to, because the 9th house is the house of heaven. And so I'm going to just say it out loud. Some of you are going to lose a pet to heaven. Who's going to argue that they're, having fun in the pearly gates or something. And the other one is that, where is this turbulence in travel for you? Because maybe there's a conflict that suddenly derails travel plans, and it may be a pet matter, a health matter, a work obligation, something that's going to put you up against a blockage around traveling or going on a journey somewhere. And I can see that for sure being frustrating and as well for you. So there's something going on with that story as well. You may find that a sibling that is one younger than you gets mixed up in this intensity as well. And maybe they're having a health challenge, and maybe the urgency and the determined action is you're going to go visit them. Okay, that's another possibility. A sibling younger with a health challenge. Or a sibling in general. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. It's quite an interesting sky this week ahead. As I said, I mean, we got sign changes and everything, but that's already been put out. I'm focused on the simple stories. And I want to talk about Mars, and I want to talk about Mercury in the house of romantic love in a head-on collision. This is the house of your children. This is also the house that has to do with things with art and creative and entrepreneurial projects. Good news is Mars and Mercury are flowing to you in a trine. And bad news is Mars and Mercury. So you could have some really intense and highly focused, but maybe contentious conversations with one of your children. You might be feeling like something going on in a romantic relationship, especially romantic dating, that kind of level of relationship is going to have an activation of a kind of conversation that cuts through all of the dross and gets to the heart of a matter midweek. Right, this is happening on Wednesday, but you'll feel it Monday through Friday. If a child is still living at home, they could be telling you they're moving out. And you might want to quit a creative project, especially if it involves writing or communicating or comedy. And you might just be ready to cut loose and quit that project. It's time to move on. You're going to cut your losses with that. I'm wondering too about having Venus with Grieve in the 4th house this week. And there may be grieving a kid leaving the home. There may be grieving something to do with a romantic relationship, and maybe it's having challenges. As Venus is conjunct the asteroid Grieve, and she is in Scorpio, she is also the de facto ruler of your house of career that she witnesses. She also is in detriment. So you might also be having to make a change in your career and cut away from something where you might be grieving the loss of that job or that direction in your work. For example, I'm just stretching to find meanings, right? She also rules the house of the sibling one younger. Is there something going on with the sibling one younger? Are they grieving and you're just standing by? What's going on with the sibling one younger? That there's an aura of grief in their life, perhaps. And I would say that if there's any way that you feel like you need to rearrange your banking, taxes, debts, mortgage, loans, shared resources with a spouse. Mars is in a harsh Mercury-Mars are in a harsh square to the 8th house stellium. And it could really put you on a path to make decisions with determined action, really begin to understand, figure out with your mind here what you're going to do with money. And if anyone owes you money, a lover or a child, there's going to be a bit of a hard moment here around loans owed to you, money owed to you by other people, particularly a child, but anyone who owes you money. Hey, Mercury. Hey, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. Mercury is your lord of your sign, just like Gemini. So you got to pay attention, right? And as this is down in the 4th house, there's some hard words spoken at home. There's anger, frustration, confrontation, speech, communication at home. Now, if you're not arguing with somebody with whom you live this week ahead, you may be cutting away, ending, or severing your home. And Mercury represents contracts, agreements, buying and selling. But you also have Pluto in the 6th house, and that sextile could indicate a cutting or ending of a rental contract and maybe the pursuit of a new rental agreement. there is a lot of tension between, Mars and Mercury in the fourth house in connection with your significant long-term love relationship. If you have such a relationship, if you don't, I don't know what it's for, but it could indicate that you're going to have some real clashes from home base with a significant other. There may be competing agendas between you and a significant other, and you may feel like the water is sea serpent turbulent, Gonggong, in your relationship house. And because there's hunters with a bow and arrow aimed right at you, you might find that your partner in life is confrontational and aggressive and controlling this week ahead, particularly on Wednesday. Also, I want you to be really careful regarding accidents in the home, literally tripping, bumping into things, falling over, injuring yourself. Don't do it, especially your hips, but just don't climb on the ladder without someone holding it. And you could definitely watch out for that this week ahead. And Mercury is like, okay, last thing you want to do is to announce to the world that you broke a bone or something, right? And just be careful, be careful, be careful. Mars rules your house of inheritance. Mercury rules your house of family, father figures, and this is family of origin, legacy wealth. And there's a possibility that some of you might come into some financial abundance through the loss of an eldering relative. Saturn in the setting place is elderly, very elderly, right? So now no loss of somebody young. Don't worry about that. So an old person up the family line, if they're getting ready to go, you might have news or information about that in this week ahead. Uh-oh, why am I not moving forward? Libra, sun, moon, and rising. So it's interesting to see Venus, the Lord of your sign this week, tracking so closely to a grieving asteroid. And it may be played out even before this week, maybe on the weekend or late last week. How is there something that you are in grief about when it comes to the second house? In India, the second house is your family. Maybe someone in your family is grieving. You could be also metaphorically grieving some kind of difficulty in your money earnings and resources, or the money that you make, because Venus is exiled from chunky money. She'd rather get some inheritances or just spend money that comes in chunks rather than have to hustle for it. And with that energy, there's just something that you're putting to rest, so to speak, right? Coming to terms with. With Mars and Mercury headlong collisioning in your third house, you could say difficult news or harsh speech or communication, especially the third house of communication. This is also Mars in the house of shorter travel, like getting in the car and driving down the street or something. Be careful for accidents while you're driving this week ahead. But we also could say that maybe there's some kind of harsh speech with a sibling or an extended family member, aunts, uncles, cousins, coming at you this week ahead. Sorry, you get enough sleep last night. If this happens, just roll with it. This too shall pass. To me, like the energy here could also be information regarding travel plan that is going to be making it difficult to take the trip. And with Thanatos in the ninth house, again, we keep seeing some themes here for people to cancel plans because of things going on with maybe air travel delays, or also the word grieving and also the word death. So sometimes it's out of our control. Remember how 9/11 locked us all down from air travel, and so did the pandemic. So it could be something bigger than your little life. So don't take it personally, right? The square to the sixth house, watch your pet. Accidents for your pet, disasters of health for your pet. Be careful with your pets, and be attentive to your pet. The third house is the neighbors, the neighborhood. Last thing you need to do is have an angry neighbor do something not nice to your pet. Be careful. Your pet to bite the angry neighbor. It's a thing, guys. Be careful if you have pets. Some of you might find that this is a kind of intensity regarding a job or some work you do in the world, whether it's long distance, like internet wise, or in person, and you're coming up against some kind of intensity with the workplace, the boss, the colleagues, and maybe making some decisions and announcements about your job. I quit, or something like that, or I'm out of here for a while, or I need a break. Those are thoughts I have about it. And I think that's what I got for you. I don't think anybody here, I don't see well, I could say, with grieving Venus, ruler of the inheritance house, you too could see some sudden money coming your way, but it would be a very old elder who's not well, hasn't been well, and that they're ready to leave planet Earth. And it could also involve a passing of an elder if you're married or with somebody on the in-law side of the family. Oh, I did 6 videos today or something like that, and I'm losing my voice for the all signs dump, I call it, for December, because I'm going away for a week and I really don't want to record in Mexico. So sorry, guys, my voice is leaving me. If you are a Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and put your sharp stinger in my face, right? Bing. Do not forget to hit the like button. Do not forget to try subscribing, especially if you're in the live premiere. You've got a content creator who works really hard, and she just might be getting content creator burnout at this juncture. So hang in there with me and please cheer me on. All right. So money, Scorpio, money, resources, but sometimes family. So because I'm using Indian Vedic and a family member facing death. Sorry. I keep going back. It's elder, always an elder because of the Saturn, very old energy playing out in the sky at this time. And old Saturn is old and he's in an old degree. And you could quit a job. You could cut out of you could be ready to negotiate something to do with land, property, real estate, and mortgages to put to bed, to put to rest, to put away your old mortgage, your old financing, your old credit card debt, but also property, land, and real estate refinancing, mortgages. Those things are good here. It's determined action and focused action around negotiations and commerce. Be careful with Mercury not in his best form that you have someone else check the fine print in any legal contractual deals regarding financing, refinancing, investments, and home, property, land, and real estate. This is playing out Monday through Friday. Then we could also wonder what's going on with the asteroid Grieve and Venus in your sign. If you are a Scorpio rising, it's like you are having grief, right? There's some grieving, sadness going on emotionally for you this week ahead. Like sometimes we just grieve like the loss of a dream. Like look at the South Node in the House of Goals and Dreams with the moon. Maybe you're going to grieve the loss of a job. The moon would have been at 29 Leo, loss of a career path just before, just as it became exact. So it could be a metaphorical sadness over metaphorical grieving. It doesn't have to mean someone's passed away. I see an angel cloud for you today. I'm going to leave that with you. I actually see a cloud that looks like 2 angel wings. Wow. Well, it's a combination of a dragon and an angel. I go either way. It's a dragon angel. That's your message in the clouds today. Well, that doesn't even look real. I want to take a photo of that. You won't believe what I'm looking out at. It's a dreary, cloudy, dark day here in Vancouver, but what is that? It is a dragon. Dragon. You got a dragon. All right. I took a picture. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is things to do with romantic love are flowing to Jupiter in the North Node. It's not too bad at all, even flowing to Venus. All right. So there is that. However, because Mars and Mercury square the house of romantic love and sexual love and all of that, there is some intensity going on in the life of Scorpios. If you're dating someone or in a relationship with someone, there's definitely some intensity there. And when I talked about the grieving, you may not be grieving. Venus rules the house of the spouse. Your spouse may be grieving a situation in their life as well, not even yours, should you have a spouse. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, you have a bow and arrow in your hand and you have a body of a horse on the bottom half. Welcome to reality. And you have this sense then that things that fly through the air are your cup of tea, especially if you draw back the bowstring. You have sharp words to speak. You have harsh communications. You have focused, dedicated passionate and pointed ways of wanting to address reality right now. And Mercury is your mind, but your mind or Mercury is in a condition of retrogradation, so your thought, your intellect. I mean, retrogradation he is, and he's also not doing so great in his detriment in the sign of Sag. So be careful with how you aim your arrows at people, whatever you're doing. Anybody, especially your spouse. If you have a spouse, then you could be very much like giving them the pink slip or something on this week ahead, especially Wednesday, but Monday through Friday. You might also wonder if you are ready to quit something, because Mars is quitting and Mercury is telling everyone. You could be quitting a job, a career path, a relationship, or a place you live. There's putting it all up in the air. I quit. I'm done. I'm out of here. What are you quitting? This energy could be very tumultuous when it comes to matters to do with your property, home, and real estate, your land, and where you live, your domestic life. Especially if you have an elder living in the home with you, and there's going to be some serious, come to Jesus conversations or difficult moments in communications this week. If an eldering somebody, grandparent or parent lives with you, and you might find that with Jupiter in your 8th house, some of the stories are taking place to do with the words hospitals, inheritances, legacy, wealth, and elders. I know it seems like everybody's doing the same story. Trust me, you're not. But if I see it, I have to bring it up, and it's playing out for you as well. You do have the sun in the house of hospitals, which can indicate a father figure. But Venus can also represent a feminine energy as well. Like a friend in the hospital. Venus rules your house of groups of belongings and friends. Definitely with Venus ruling your house of work, South Node in your 10th, some of you are getting ready to take a step away from some kind of livelihood or professional direction that you've gone in, while others of you are getting ready to receive some money, maybe from your family of origin. And this week is a lot of decisions and paperwork that have to be readied and figured out for this to become a viable path for you. Legal paperwork, contracts, signing on the dotted line, looking at those little yellow slips that the lawyers are telling you to do, or docu-signing it. A lot of that energy going on here, guys. It does connect to property, land, legacy, wealth, hospitals, maybe inheritances. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. So it's a bit of a tough week, Monday through Friday, with Mars headlonging into Mercury and in your 12th house of hidden enemies. Well, don't we love that? Hidden enemies can come from Mars here, especially, and Mercury is like information news. It could reveal the hidden enemy, but it also could be what they're doing communications wise to actually make your life a little bit more difficult, especially when it comes to matters to do with travel, work, online world, job, professional stuff. You could find yourself with this also really busting through some karmic knots to do with past lives, unentangling your stuff from other lifetimes, cutting through the dross through your dreams, which can be extremely Mercury in the 12th, very powerful at this time, and making massive life shifts because of information that comes to you in meditations as well, or trance journeys or anything like that, especially with the placement of Neptune. I think that you might find yourself really looking at quitting an addiction if you have any, or even if it's a mild bad habit, and having this wherewithal to head-on collision, just quit. Asteroid for grieving in the 11th house, grieving the loss of a friendship, grieving the loss of a job, grieving the loss of a dream that you had, grieving the loss of a romantic partnership that has mutated to friendship. And maybe there's some major changes going on as you recognize you grieving the end of that relationship. It's because Venus rules your 5th house of romantic love. And yes. This Mars Mercury story flows to Chiron in a general principle and could indicate a turning point this week ahead regarding a feeling like you don't know where you belong in the world, particularly your home, your apartment, your teepee, where you're living in your tent. It just doesn't feel right for you. And you might be making some decisions here to rent a place. For Mercury rules the house of rentals. But if you're going to rent a place and those choices and decisions are coming up for you this week ahead, it's going to be, by the end of the week or early Saturday that you should be able to have figured it out where a nice place to rent would be, if any place at all. If you do have a pet health, pet challenges, pet sickness, yes, that's a thing. So be careful for that as well. I don't think you're going to injure yourself stumbling around in your bed at night, but watch for hidden enemies out to get you. And I don't think it's going to be physically important. I don't think you're going to try to hurt you or anything, but like physically. But if someone doesn't have your back and they're trying to, attack you in some way, it could be a cousin, niece, nephew, or a sibling who is wielding the sharp energy at you. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, now we've lost the dragon cloud. I talked to a Scorpio about it, and now we don't have a dragon cloud at all. Now we have something else really cool. It looks like a wave coming in. First we had a Scorpio dragon. Now for Aquarius is we have a beautiful wave coming in on the clouds, like a big wave, like splashing to earth, like rolling like towards us. So if you happen to be a Pluto, sun, moon, and rising, then you're going to be seeing this collision head on of Mars and Mercury. I should have had a green tea before I started. You're going to see them hitting the butting heads in your 11th house of the sibling one older, friends and benefactors and allies, and also connections to your dreams, goals, and wishes for your life and your career gains. Now, sometimes Mercury could be information or news around any of those people and those matters that I just mentioned. And Mars could be taking action on that information or news, but also it could be some sharp words from that friend, from that elder sibling one above you. That could be also a conflict there for you. Because this energy happens to also be in a square to income house, the second house, but also a house of speech. If a friend attacks you, you're probably going to attack back with Saturnian sternness. But if it's not verbal or, communication challenges, then you might be looking at making some changes that are very powerfully significant in how you earn money. And Mars likes to cut. So the profitability of your career and what will you leave behind? What will you take off the table? What will you cut out of the way? Could be that you could quit your job on this as well, because you've got some kind of grieving the career house with Venus up there, who tends to be a diva and a celebrity. But she rules the 4th house of home, where she can nest and nurture and cook and make a garden. So if you have a career in the occult mysteries or the spiritual woo, this is going to very strongly indicate that you might be letting some part of that career go. Or someone who's close to you, who's very well known in the public eye, they may be going through some situation in their own life of grieving, or someone that you admire in the public eye and you're grieving their leave taking of their bodies. Like I adore Candace Owens. Don't hate on me. And the last thing I want to see is her taken down. Right. So keep that in mind. And taken down in any way, if you know what I mean. De-channeled, deplatformed, or unalived. She's definitely speaking truth to power, to corruption, actually. With Mercury ruling the house of your children, there could be something going on in the life of a child that's very turbulent for them, and you're just getting wind of what they're going through, and you might find yourself just receiving information about one of your kids, and it may be about conflicts they're having with a friend, some big changes in their long-range goals and plans for their life. There could be a possibility here that they are also getting ready to leave a job or quit their job. And that's just simply information coming across the transom for you to hear. And finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign, you guys are having this conjunction of Mars and Mercury as they head-on collide with each other in your 10th house. And your 10th house is your career and your reputation and your visible actions in the world. and it's a house of father figures. So what are you up to? Mars is at the top of the sky. He's very passionate. Mercury is communicating something from the past, retrograde, bumping into Mars. This is most active Wednesday, but you'll feel it Monday through Friday. In this kind of sky, you might also be having some changes of where you live, as you have a kind of preciousness of life and precariousness of life, Thanatos, more Somnus in the 4th house, and some shocking surprises in the 3rd. Unexpected changes of neighborhood or change of home could be emerging for you. And some of the early ripples of that story may be showing up for you this week ahead. It'll definitely get more intense closer to the 3rd week of November. A pink slip, quitting your job, getting fired, getting laid off, very much Mercury, Mars stories in the 10th house for you guys who are in a job, employed, paycheck stuff. Yeah, that's there as well. You have like the arrow huntress Diana in your sign, along with the Gonggong sea serpent in your sign, squaring Mars, Mercury. I'd say that you have some strength here because you've got the bow and arrow in your hand. And if somebody fires you, you'll fire back anyway. You'll have something to say about it. Is there something you need to address when it comes to romantic love, sexual love? Because basically the whole Saturn North Node, Gonggong, Artemis combination here does kind of altogether flow to Jupiter in the house of children and romantic love. So some major decisions you're going to make, they're going to be visible to the world to do with romantic love or your children, but it's also going to be a bit of a sea storm, or like the, Gonggong is catastrophic events that come from a Chinese sea serpent in watery Pisces. There is potentially grieving over a sibling too older, some loss in the sibling too older and their life and their own lives. There's Venus with the asteroid Grieve in the house of foreign lands, foreign shores, love in a foreign land, ruled by Mars. So there could be some change of circumstance regarding a relationship. A partner is grieving. If it's a third marriage specifically, that would be a story. There definitely could be some cancellation of travel plans under this kind of sky on that week ahead next week. If you had planned to travel somewhere, you might cancel that. And I think the last thing I want to tell you is, Venus and Scorpio in the 9th house with the sun, and she's getting to be quite invisible. It's going to be like some hidden variables around love, especially if it requires travel, especially if it requires spiritual community, especially if it requires travel, spiritual community, etc. And she's invisible under the beams of the sun. And there's a lot of storm energy with Gonggong. And the information that's coming from Mercury, Mars is connected to that. Mars rules that story. So look for some unexpected or some difficult conversations with a relationship. If it's a long distance one, that might be a little bit destabilizing, or a long distance love relationship person is going through some loss or grief in their own life that someone they know has come into passing away kind of thing. All right. Likely a father figure, but anybody. That's all I've got for you. I cannot believe it. I think I need a nap. I'm recording at 4 p.m. in the afternoon on Saturday. This goes out to you guys Monday morning. This girl's going to lie down and take a snooze. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to buy my All Signs bundle. Don't forget to hype my channel and share it with other people, and see if we can get this baby to grow a little faster. I slowed down in the last few months. It's not growing at the pace it normally does, which is usually 3,000 to 4,000 subscribers a month. And I'm down to 2,000 to 3,000 if I'm lucky. So it's just a small dip, but the subscriber growth along with the views and everything else is what keeps the channel expanding into other people's worlds. I was watching Steve Judd's channel. I'm like, what happened? He hasn't passed the 129,000 mark of new subscribers for more than a month, for a month at least. And like that's like a dead end, like you hit a wall or something. And I'm seeing other channels that normally do really well, growing more slowly than they have in the past, like Astrology with Rux or by Rux. I was tracking her metrics through TubeBuddy, kind of growing by 6,000 to 7,000 subscribers a month, down to half of that right now. So something's hitting a lot of us astrology channels all at once. I don't know if it's AI slop or something. This too shall pass, but help me out by making sure you are subscribed. And if you're not and you listen to me regularly, considering subscribing. Thank you very much. I don't have an outro today. I'm too tired. But I often have entertaining outros about supernatural, spiritual, and mystical stuff. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. And I'll see you soon.